Red Hot Candied Apples are kind of this classic recipe for canning apples that my grandmother did, my mother did. I can the apples like this. It's kind of a fun one because it uses the Red Hots to add some of the color and some of that cinnamon flavor to the apples. So it's kind of a fun way to preserve your apples. Now I'll start with 12 pounds of apples. I'll then take these apples and run them through my apple core slicer peeler. I try to work somewhat quickly just so that I don't have any browning of the apples. Sometimes it's helpful to kind of help it along at the very beginning because getting it started with the peeling is probably the hardest part. I have animals, so I'll go ahead and save the cores and the skins and give them to them. But if you didn't, it actually makes a really good addition to a compost. It also can be utilized for making apple cider vinegar. So the slicer core peeler is not completely perfect. As you'll notice, this one got sliced, but it didn't get peeled. So all I do is I go through with a knife and I get what it missed. For the majority of the apples, I just have to remove the end where the skin is. But then there'll be the occasional one that will have a spot on it that I also have to remove. These are apples that I picked, and so they're not 100% perfect. And occasionally there'll be a bruise on it, and I want to remove that too. I just slice through one half and turn it and slice through the other half, and that gives me all these little half pieces of apple, which are just perfect for this recipe. And then I put them into my pan. I could have done all the coring and peeling and slicing by hand, but since I have the machine, it makes it so much easier. The other thing I watch for is any of the seeds that are hiding in here. That's why it's so important to line it up properly, but even sometimes I still end up with one. So now my 12 pounds of apples are just about the max of what my pan can hold. Now, as they soften up, it'll be okay because it'll go down, but it's going to be a little hard for me to stir initially. I do need to also add 6 cups worth of water. And now I'll put this on the stove and I'll bring it to a simmer for 5 minutes. Next, I'll add 1 1/4 cup of white vinegar, 12 cups of sugar, 2 teaspoons of ground cloves, 1 teaspoon of ginger, and 1/2 of a cup of Red Hots. I'll then place these on the stove and let them boil for 3 minutes. Now I'll place my candied apples in pint-sized jars up to 1/2 of an inch of headspace, which is the space from the top of the food to the top of the jar. I try to make sure that I get an equal amount of syrup and fruit in each one. It's super pretty too because it's kind of this pink color and colors the apples. I actually really love it. If I put too much in one jar, I can just pull it out with a little gravy ladle. I then use a chopstick and just run it along the inside edge to get out any bubbles that may have gotten trapped in here. It's fairly liquid, so there shouldn't be very much. Then I'll use a clean, damp cloth to wipe off the rim of my jars, just so that there's nothing to interfere with the seal. Then I'll place my lids and rings on until they're fingertip tight. I'll then place them in the boiling water bath and process them for 15 minutes if at sea level. I'm at 1,200 feet, so I'll go for 20. Now that it's at a nice rolling boil, I'll set my timer. Now that my timer's gone off, I'll remove the lid, turn off the heat, and allow it to cool for 5 minutes. I'll then remove the jars from the canner, placing them on a heat-resistant surface, where I'll place them 1 to 2 inches apart so that they can cool quickly, and I'll allow them to sit for 24 hours so that they get a nice good seal. After that, I'll remove the rings and use hot soapy water to clean off the outside. Then I'll store them in a cool, dry, dark location and eat them in the next 1 to 3 years. So the taste test. It's actually really good. It's not like anything that we eat nowadays. You know, it's got that little bit of vinegar with all of that sugar. So it's this lovely sweet syrup, but a little different. Almost like a super sweet pickle. Not quite though. It's really good. You should just give it a try.